The problem with being the only human on an alien space station is that no one takes you seriously when you're about to die. Commander Lux Vega was painfully aware of this as she ducked behind a cargo container, plasma bolts sizzling past her head. "Oh look, the tiny mammal is hiding," chortled a passing Gloxian merchant to his companion. "So adorable when they think they're in danger." Lux gritted her teeth. 4 years stationed on Nexus 9 and she was still treated like someone's pet hamster. Never mind that she'd survived 3 station breaches, a toxic gas leak, and that incident with the quantum refrigerator that technically created a temporary black hole in the cafeteria. Her comm unit buzzed. "Vega, where are you?" Captain Orlov's voice crackled. "The Trade Minister is still demanding your arrest for the incident." The incident had been an unfortunate collision between Lux's maintenance drone and Trade Minister Graxon's elaborate headpiece during his species' sacred mating ceremony. Who puts their most important ritual next to a waste processing plant anyway? "Tell him I'm dead," Lux whispered. "Technically, that might be true soon." "He's hired someone," Orlov said, his voice dropping. "Someone bad." Lux's blood ran cold. "How bad?" The Voids embrace bad. Even Lux knew that name. Ka Rock, the legendary draconian assassin who had eliminated targets across 17 star systems. The apex predator whose species evolved from something resembling Earth's Komodo dragons if they were 9 feet tall, covered in obsidian scales and capable of breathing fire. "That's excessive," Lux managed. "Graxon says you've insulted his entire lineage." The ceremony was being broadcast to all 7 of his home planets. Lux peeked around the container. It was an accident. And his headpiece made him look like a deranged peacock anyway. "Regardless, my hands are tied. Diplomatic immunity means he can hire whoever he wants." Orlov paused. "Might I suggest a rapid vacation? Perhaps to another galaxy?" Meanwhile, across the station in the luxurious diplomatic quarters, Trade Minister Graxon was completing his transaction. The Varangian, a slug-like creature with more money than morals, purred with satisfaction as he counted his credits. "The Draconian has accepted your contract, Minister. Commander Vega will be eliminated within the cycle." Graxon's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Excellent. The human made me a laughingstock. My 3rd wife refused to complete the bonding. Do you know how difficult it is to find a compatible mate with precisely the right number of tentacles?" "I cannot imagine," the Varangian replied diplomatically. "The human must pay." With her remarkably uninteresting life. In the shadows of the lower decks, a figure moved with impossible silence. Scaled skin absorbed the dim light rather than reflecting it. Golden eyes with vertical pupils scanned the environment, processing information faster than any computer. Ka Rock, last scion of the Draconian House of Eternal Night, had begun his hunt. He had never killed a human before. This would be educational. Ka Rock moved through the maintenance tunnels of Nexus 9 like a living shadow. The station's inhabitants would have soiled themselves assuming they had compatible anatomy had they known what stalked among them. His kind had evolved as apex predators on a death world that made Earth look like a vacation resort. His target was proving unusual. Most prey followed predictable patterns when hunted. They returned to familiar territory, sought allies, or made futile attempts at escape. Commander Lux Vega had done none of these things. In the past 12 hours, he had watched her rig a food dispenser to spray adhesive foam at pursuers, rewire a security door to give small but annoying electric shocks to anyone with a specific biochemical signature, matching Graxon's species, and somehow reprogram cleaning bots to play what he recognized as the ancient human imperial march whenever the Trade Minister entered a room. These were not the actions of someone terrified for their life. These were the actions of someone waging a one-person guerrilla war. "Fascinating," Ka Rock murmured, his voice a rumble that would have liquefied the courage of most sentient beings. He recalled his training under the Maw of Shadows, the ancient draconian assassin who had shaped him into a living weapon. Lesser species react to fear by freezing, fleeing, or fighting foolishly, the Maw had taught. This is why they are lesser. Humans had been categorized as mostly harmless in the Galactic Codex. Their physical attributes were unimpressive: no acid glands, natural armor, enhanced strength, or significant biotic capabilities. Yet somehow they had negotiated their way into the Galactic Concord in record time, with surprisingly favorable terms. Ka-Rock watched as Vega convinced a 7-foot-tall, but 4-armed Krell security officer to help her bypass a restricted area by spinning a tale so convincing that Ka-Rock himself had momentarily believed it, despite knowing it was fabricated. "My commanding officer is stuck in there with a malfunctioning gravity plate," Vega had explained earnestly. "He's been walking on the ceiling for 3 hours. The blood is rushing to his head, and you know how humans are with their fragile circulatory systems. It's a medical emergency." The Krell, clearly concerned, had happily overridden the security protocols. There was no commander. There was no gravity malfunction. Yet now Vega had access to the station's secondary command center. Ka-Rock found himself doing something unprecedented: delaying the kill. The contract allowed for completion within 1 standard cycle. He had time. He wanted to understand. His comm unit vibrated. "Is it done?" The Varangian's voice oozed through the channel. "I am studying the target," Ka-Rock replied. "Studying? Why?" "It's a human. Crush its fragile skeletal structure and complete the contract." Ka-Rock's eyes narrowed. "I have never failed a contract. This will be no exception. But I complete my hunts as I see fit." He silenced the channel and continued his observation. Vega was now accessing the station's security feeds, a look of intense concentration on her face. She was hunting something too, he realized. Or someone. A memory surfaced from his childhood education. Humans came from a planet that had tried to kill them at every turn, not with the honest lethality of his homeworld's predators and toxic atmosphere, but with invisible enemies, microscopic killers, shifting weather patterns, limited resources. They had evolved not as physical apex predators, but as problem solvers, adapters, survivors. Perhaps that was worthy of respect. And perhaps Vega deserved to know who was about to end her life and why. It was a courtesy he rarely extended. Decision made, Ka-Rock moved toward the commander's position. It was time for introductions. Lux Vega was having one of those days where the universe seemed determined to remind her that being human in space was like being a hamster at a wolf convention, technically present, but not taken seriously as a functional member of society. "Come on, you outdated piece of junk," she muttered, wrestling with the station's archaic security system. She was trying to access Graxon's private communications. If she could just find evidence of something shady, and there was always something shady when it came to politicians with too many eyes she might have leveraged to get him to call off his assassin. A soft click behind her was her only warning. "Your ventilation system is surprisingly cramped," said a voice that sounded like gravel being crushed under a tank. "I had to dislocate 3 vertebrae to follow you." Lux froze, then slowly turned. She had seen Draconians in holographic transmissions, but never in person. Nothing had prepared her for the reality of Ka-Rock. 9 feet of corded muscle covered in scales that seemed to drink the light. A face that evolution had optimized for one purpose: to be the last thing prey ever saw. Eyes like molten gold, regarding her with an intensity that made her feel like a microbe under a microscope. "So," she said, her voice only wavering slightly, "you're the famous Void's embrace." I was expecting more Void. Maybe a cape? Villains usually have capes. Ka-Rock tilted his massive head. "You are not running." "Would it help?" "No." Wharton-san. Then I might as well die with my dignity intact. Lux straightened her uniform jacket. Can I at least know why I'm worth the expense of hiring you? Graxon could have hired any common thug for 1/10 the price. The trade minister believes you intentionally humiliated him. He wants your death to send a message. It was an accident. Lux threw up her hands. My drone malfunctioned because his security detail was jamming communications in the area. If anything, it's his fault. Ka Rock moved closer, his massive form somehow silent despite his size. Lux backed against the console. You are not what I expected, he said. Let me guess, usually your victims are crying and begging by now. Usually they are already dead. Ka Rock's eyes narrowed. But you interest me. Your species is physically unremarkable, yet you have carved out significant influence in the Concord. You personally have survived situations that would kill beings far more durable. Explain. Lux blinked. You're curious about humans? Now, isn't there some assassin code about not chatting with your targets? I make my own code. His massive head lowered until they were eye to eye. Satisfy my curiosity, Commander Vega, and I will grant you a quick death. Wow, bargain of the century, Lux muttered. Fine. What do you want to know? Why are so many species cautious around humans, despite your obvious physical inferiority? Lux couldn't help it, she laughed. Oh boy, you really know how to sweet-talk a girl. Ka Rock's expression didn't change, but something in his posture suggested confusion. Look, Lux said, figuring she might as well be honest if these were her last moments, you want to know the truth about humans? We're the cockroaches of the galaxy. Not physically impressive, but damn near impossible to get rid of. And we make friends with the scariest things we can find. Cockroaches? Ka Rock's tongue flicked out, tasting the unfamiliar word. Small insects on Earth. Not strong or venomous, but they've survived everything from nuclear radiation to being stepped on by creatures thousands of times their size. Lux was warming to her subject, gesturing with increasing animation. That's humanity in a nutshell. We're not the biggest, strongest, or scariest, but we're ridiculously hard to kill. The Draconian settled into a crouch that still left him towering over her. Elaborate. Well, for starters, we evolved on a planet that tried to murder us with everything from microscopic organisms to massive predators. Our solution? Outsmart everything. Can't outrun a predator. Build a pointy stick. Pointy stick not good enough? Set it on fire. Fire not enough? Invent guns, then nukes, then antimatter weapons. Many species developed weapons, Ka Rock noted. Sure, but we did it without natural advantages. No claws, no venom, no scales. Lux poked his chest for emphasis, then immediately regretted it when her finger met the equivalent of organic steel. Ouch, see? I'm practically a water balloon compared to you. But humanity survived by being adaptable and, frankly, a little crazy. Crazy? Our risk assessment is fundamentally broken. When humans found fire, our first thought wasn't run from the dangerous hot thing. It was, I wonder what happens if I stick this rabbit on it. When we saw the ocean, we didn't think vast deadly expanse of water. We thought, I bet I can float on a log across that. When we saw space, we strapped ourselves to explosive tubes and hoped for the best. Ka Rock's eyes widened fractionally. Your species' first space vessels were explosive? Controlled explosions, technically, Lux shrugged. About 60% controlled. The point is, humans see danger and think challenge accepted. That's why other species are wary of us. Not because we're dangerous individually, but because we're unpredictable. Like when you released those maintenance drones into the trade minister's ceremony? That was an accident. But sure, like that. We're also ridiculously social. You know what humans did when we met our first alien species? After we got over the initial panic, we tried to make friends. This seems inefficient for survival. It's actually our superpower. See, draconians evolved to be self-sufficient apex predators, right? You can survive alone. Humans can't. We're relatively weak individually. So we form groups. And not just with other humans, with anyone or anything. Half the dangerous creatures on Earth ended up as our pets. Pets? Ka-Rock seemed genuinely bewildered now. Companion animals. We took wolves, pack hunters that could easily kill us, and selectively bred them until they became dogs that would die to protect us. We domesticated cats, horses, birds. Even some reptiles distantly related to your species. We look at deadly things and think I could be friends with that. Ka-Rock was silent for a long moment. Your species took apex predators and made them into allies? Exactly. And we did the same thing when we reached space. The Arcturians were feared across 3 sectors for their berserker rage as we hired them as security consultants. The Vex Hive was considered too dangerous to approach. We established trade relations. The Morrigan Collective's living ships were thought to be impossible to tame. Now they're the backbone of our exploration fleet. This explains much, Ka-Rock said slowly. Your weakness is your strength. Unable to dominate through force, you create alliances. Unable to survive alone, you ensure others have reason to protect you. Now you're getting it, Lux beamed. Humans aren't apex predators in the traditional sense. We're relationship builders. We survive by making ourselves useful, or interesting, or just too much trouble to get rid of. Like now, I'm chatting with the assassin sent to kill me, and you're listening instead of, embracing me with the void or whatever your slogan is. For the first time, Ka-Rock's expression shifted to something Lux couldn't interpret. My species values honor above all. We hunt because it is our nature, but we respect worthy prey. And am I worthy prey? Lux asked, suddenly serious. Ka-Rock stood to his full height, towering over her. No, Commander Vega, you are not worthy prey. Lux's heart sank. You are a worthy ally. Lux Vega stared at the towering draconian assassin, momentarily speechless. Which, anyone who knew her would attest, was a rare cosmic event. I'm sorry, she finally managed. Did you just say ally instead of goodbye, cruel universe, prepare to be stabbed? Ka-Rock's expression remained impassive, though one scaled eyebrow ridge lifted slightly. I am breaking my contract. This is unprecedented. No kidding, Lux said. Not that I'm complaining about the not dying part, but why? Your explanations revealed a truth I had not considered. Draconians and humans share common values. We are both survivors, both adaptable. We differ in methods, not purpose. He tilted his massive head. Additionally, I have been observing the trade minister. His vendetta against you is merely one strand in a web of corruption. I knew it. Lux snapped her fingers. That's what I was looking for when you found me. Graxon's been manipulating station politics for months. I just needed proof. He plans to stage an incident during tomorrow's Concord Summit. Human delegates will be framed for an attack on the Quartoth ambassador. Lux's eyes widened. That would destroy the alliance we've been building with the Quartoth for years. They control half the dilithium mining operations in the sector. Precisely. With humans diplomatically isolated, Graxon's consortium would sign exclusive mining rights. Ka-Rock's golden eyes narrowed. The trade minister also attempted to contract me for the ambassador's elimination. I declined. Even assassins have standards, huh? Lux smiled, then grew serious. So what's the play here? I can't exactly waltz into the security office with an accused assassin and make accusations against a diplomatic minister. No, Ka-Rock agreed. But I can access areas you cannot. Together we can gather sufficient evidence before the summit. A human and a draconian working together. Lux chuckled. This is either the beginning of a beautiful friendship or the setup to a terrible joke. Your human humor continues to confuse me, Rock stated flatly. But it is not unpleasant. They spent the next hours planning their contrasting approaches, creating an unexpectedly effective strategy. Lux's chaotic creativity balanced with Rock's methodical precision. She taught him human idioms. He taught her draconian infiltration techniques. So wait, Lux said as they prepared to access Graxon's private quarters, your people really do have a ritual where you offer your blade to someone you consider an equal? I thought that was just in those cheesy holodramas. The rite of blade offering is sacred, Rock rumbled. To present one's primary weapon is to acknowledge the recipient as one who need not be hunted as kindred. That's actually pretty beautiful, Lux admitted. It is rarely extended to non-draconians, Rock added. But circumstances evolve, as must traditions. With surprising grace for his massive frame, Rock withdrew an obsidian dagger that seemed to bend light around it. Before Lux realized what was happening, he had dropped to one knee before her, the weapon extended across his palms. Commander Lux Vega of Earth, I offer my blade in service. Your enemies are now mine. Your survival is my priority. This I swear by the eternal night. The maintenance corridor hatch chose that moment to slide open, revealing 3 Glaborian merchants who took one look at the scene, a massive draconian assassin kneeling before a human, and promptly evacuated their multiple bladders in terror. This isn't what it looks like, Lux called after them as they fled, their terrified warbling echoing through the station. Well, actually, I have no idea what this looks like to them. She turned back to Rock. Is this the part where I take the knife? Blade, he corrected. And yes. Gingerly, she lifted the weapon. It was surprisingly light, almost weightless. What do I say now? The traditional response is, I accept your blade and your pledge, Hunter of the Night. However, as you are human, any acknowledgement will suffice. I accept your blade and your pledge, Hunter of the Night, Lux repeated solemnly, then couldn't help adding, this is so going in my mission report. No one's going to believe it. They will, Rock said, rising to his full height, because after tomorrow the galaxy will witness a new alliance. The Grand Council Chamber of Nexus 9 was a marvel of interstellar architecture, a perfect dome where representatives from 17 worlds could gather in theoretical harmony. Today that harmony was about to be shattered in ways no one had anticipated. Trade Minister Graxon stood at the central podium, all 4 eyes gleaming with barely contained triumph. The Quartoth ambassador, a crystalline being who communicated through light pulses, floated nearby in her containment field. Distinguished delegates, Graxon began, before we discuss the mining rights proposal, I must regretfully inform you of a security concern. We have uncovered evidence of a human plot too. The massive doors at the far end of the chamber burst open. Commander Lux Vega strode in, head high, flanked by the most terrifying sight many delegates had ever witnessed, Rock, the legendary draconian assassin, moving in perfect step with her. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the assembly. Several security officers reached for weapons, then froze when Rock's golden gaze swept over them. Sorry to crash the party, Lux announced, her voice carrying through the chamber, but I believe the trade minister was about to commit perjury, among other crimes. Graxon's color shifted to a mottled purple. Guards. Arrest the human and her pet. I am no pet. Rock's deep voice rumbled through the chamber like distant thunder. I am Rock of House Eternal Night, and I stand as humanity's champion. The silence that followed was absolute. In the history of the Galactic Concord, no Draconian had ever declared themselves champion of another species. It was like announcing that water had decided to no longer be wet. That's impossible, Graxon sputtered. You were contracted to kill her. I was, Rock acknowledged, drawing gasps from the delegates. A contract I have broken because I found a greater truth. And evidence of your planned attack on the Quartoth ambassador to be blamed on humans. Lux stepped forward, activating a holographic display. Security logs, financial transfers, and communication records, all showing that Trade Minister Graxon planned to stage an attack during this summit, framing the human delegation while eliminating the ambassador. The Quartoth ambassador's crystalline form pulsed with rapid light patterns that the translation system rendered as extreme alarm. "This is absurd," Graxon hissed. "You cannot trust a human and a rogue assassin." Actually, came a new voice as Captain Orlov entered with a contingent of station security. "We've verified all their evidence. The assassination attempt was scheduled for precisely 3 minutes from now." What followed was chaos of the most entertaining diplomatic variety. Graxon attempted to flee, only to be tackled by 2 junior ambassadors from a high-gravity world. The Quartoth ambassador pulsed so brightly in indignation that 3 delegates needed ocular shields. And throughout it all, the sight of a human commander standing shoulder to, well, mid-torso, with a draconian assassin continued to draw disbelieving stares. Later, after statements had been taken and Graxon had been escorted to a holding cell, one specially designed for beings with exceptional limb mobility, Lux found herself facing the full Concord Council. "Commander Vega," intoned the Arcturian chairperson, "your actions today have averted a diplomatic crisis. Moreover, you appear to have achieved something unprecedented in our history." She gestured to Ka Rock, who stood impassively beside Lux. "Would you care to explain?" Lux cleared her throat. "It's actually pretty simple. Turns out humans and draconians have more in common than we thought. We're both survivors, both adaptable, we just evolved different ways of showing it." "Humanity has been misunderstood," Ka Rock added. "They are not weak, they are subtle. Not fragile, resilient. They make allies where others make enemies. This is strength of a different kind." "So, what happens now?" the chairperson asked cautiously. Lux grinned. "Now? I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship, and maybe a new chapter in Concord history." 3 months later, the first cultural exchange program between Earth and Dracois Prime was announced. 6 months after that, the first joint human draconian exploration vessel launched, with Commander Lux Vega and Ka Rock, now officially designated interspecies liaison, at its helm. And throughout the galaxy, other species watched with a mixture of awe and trepidation as humanity once again demonstrated its most terrifying talent, befriending the scariest damn thing in the universe and turning it into an ally. As Lux liked to say when retelling the story in spacebars across 17 systems, who needs claws and venom when you've got chutzpah and charm? Ka Rock, for his part, would simply nod solemnly and add, "and a very sharp blade."